Hello, and welcome to Paint Minis Live. I'm your host, Bill T, coming at you from the Creation Cave downstairs here. I'm lucky today. I've got a special guest. This is Mythos from Wolf Brother Hobbies. I found Mythos kind of through the hobby tree, so to speak, a little, kind of hobby network. And he does some really cool 40K stuff and some other fun things. So Mythos, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are, what you're about, and what you like to do.
What is up, beautiful people? My name is Wolf Brother Mythos from Wolf Brother Hobbies, formerly of the channel Frost and Fists, channel I had for about 7 years, 7 or 8 years. And I was primarily focused on 40K all during that time. Prior to that, though, I've done a lot of like tabletop adjacent kind of things. Lots of role playing, D&D, Vampire the Masquerade, and all the other White Wolf games like Werewolf, Scion, um, lots of other games like that. And then other tabletop card games like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, and yeah, that's all been kind of in my hobby theater for a while. And yeah, just making a channel sharing what I enjoy doing.
Very nice, very nice. Um, so so Mythos, I know you're into like you're into card games. You're into like 40K. You're into like just a menagerie of stuff. But when did the hobby start? Like when did you kind of get into the nerddom of it all, or has it always just been there,
I,
just
hon-
baked in?
Honestly, it's always just been there. Yeah, like the card games started with Magic the Gathering in middle school. Um, and then when we moved into like freshman year of high school and we started having early release on Thursdays, a bunch of my friends and I we would play uh, White Wolf role playing games, and kind of just to fill out the rest of our day. I mean, we would have had the option to go home at 12:30 with early release, but instead of doing that, because all of us, were in passing classes, so we didn't need the rest of the day for tutoring. So we could have
Right.
gone home at 12:30, but we just kind of found somewhere and played games like Werewolf and Vampire for hours at a time on Thursdays.
Nice. And when you guys were playing, like, because I'm the only out of those two, the only ones that I'm familiar with are Vampire the Masquerade. But when I played it, it was like a LARPing thing. It was kind of like live action role play stuff. Is that the way you guys played it too? Or I know some people have kind of nixed that and it's just tabletop, you
We
know?
always played the tabletop version. I did go to the LARPing version one time, which was a really interesting interesting way to play, but definitely wasn't what I was used to.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was an experience to say the least for me when the first time I went and did Vampire the Masquerade as like a live action thing. That was a trip. I'd only barely just gotten my feet wet with the whole tabletop thing, and then now I'm doing it as a live action thing. It was super cool though. It's an interesting medium, but one that I think it's got an acquired taste.
I could see that. I could see that.
Um,
I myself definitely preferred the tabletop version, but hobby's got taste for everyone.
for sure, for sure. So what are you painting up tonight? What's on the paint desk for Mythos?
So tonight I'm continuing work on some Clan Snow Raven battle mechs from BattleTech, and so here's a couple I've been working on.
Oh, nice, man. Let me blow you up. Here we go.
There you go.
Dude, those look sick.
Thank you, brother. And
I like the skull one. That's pretty cool.
thank you. I was nervous because like I saw that when I was looking up example pictures. I saw that most people just painted the canopy solid colors, but
Hmm.
all the artwork I had seen on like the character cards and stuff like that had that kind of free-handed skull on the canopy, and I was like, what, I think I'm going to give that like. I'm a stick figure painter. I don't do freehand typically, and I was like, with because the panels kind of cut the square into like six, or the skull into 6 bits. I was like, maybe I can just draw that little bit on each panel and just focus on that shape.
Mm.
And yeah, skull. I'm really pleased with how it came out.
Nice, nice. I'm seriously not a good freehand painter. Like that is a tough skill to like pull off and do it well too. Because like freehand, there's very little room for error.
Agreed.
You know. Um, yeah, I actually, funny enough, just like last month, I picked up my first like BattleTech starter box for the
Oh,
noobs.
nice.
You know. So I'm really looking forward to painting up some of the mechs in there in the future. And then on my back burner still is Halo Flashpoint.
Mine too. Mine is honestly, and this is such a shame, especially since we jumped on the pre-orders, but mine is literally still sitting here in the
In the
brown.
cellophane.
It's still in the
Oh,
brown like
oh
mail
no.
mail carrier box. Like I haven't even taken it out of that.
Nice. Nice. Um yeah, I've been busy with like all these other projects, just kind of freebie stuff that I've been working on for other folks that I haven't really done a lot of paint time for myself. It's just kind of been a backup here in the paint studio.
Yeah, that is honestly like why I kind of got out of commission painting, just because I got to a point where I was like, man, I kind of miss painting my own stuff.
What like how often were you getting commissions when you were doing that?
Uh, it was like pretty frequently, not like so popular that I had like loads on the back burner, but like I would get
Mhm.
like a large project, and then after that, like pretty soon towards the end of that project, I'd have somebody else call dibs, and of course, none of these were like super fast projects because I'm not a super fast painter, but so like I'd have like the slow but steady projects going on all the time.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
I'm honestly thankful, because I'm going to be honest with you, when I was doing those, I wasn't a great painter. And I feel like I'm a lot better now, though, because I had the experience of doing all those extra projects.
Yeah, I hear that. There's definitely some truth, when people say the 1,000 hours or whatever to get proficient at something. There's some truth to that for sure. At least in my mind. Um and I think, even if it's, not the work that you're totally envisioning in your head, it's still good practice. It's just good practice makes better results,
Yeah,
and especially with the right techniques too. That really helps.
I think
Um
Steve Harvey said it real well when he said that people need to get out of their minds that practice makes perfect, because practice makes improvement.
mhm.
And like, no matter where you think you are or what you're lacking in your skills, as long as you can go back and look at your previous works and say, I think I'm better than that now, then it's worth
It's a
the effort.
win.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um I think having a mentor helps, or somebody that's showing you how to do it too is kind of important. And can really help uh speed along your painting journey a little bit,
I could
you
definitely
know,
see that.
because they already know the tips and tricks. They'll teach it to you.
The ancient Chinese secrets.
Right? Yeah. Flow improver, man. Flow improver. That's my ancient Chinese secret right there. Um, I love me some flow improver. So tonight I'm painting up. I've just started calling this guy Charles Edward Cheddar. Um, he's been my monster in the lab so far. He's like this kind of giant rat dude, and
That's
so
cool.
I've done some of the airbrush work on him, a little work on the wood. What I really want to do tonight is essentially start doing like edge highlights on his fur and really make that stand out. Maybe do some like pink on the ears. Just super classic nasty rat man is what
Dude,
I'm going for.
the airbrushing on that fur is gorgeous.
Thanks, man. Much appreciated. But yeah, this is what this is the monster mash I'm calling it.
That's a
So,
Knoll from Reaper Miniatures, right?
I don't know. It was actually given to me by Dungeon Minister, the guy that I'm uh doing this other army project for. Um, when I went up to Canada, I got stopped by the border guard. They asked me if I was there on business or pleasure, and I was just launching the PML web shop.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they stole my minis. They told me I couldn't bring my minis into the country. Well, they didn't steal it. I had to send it back home. But yeah, so I had to leave all my minis there. So he just like gave me a box of minis to paint while I was there, and kind of turned my what was going to be a seller's booth into kind of an art expo.
Oh, that's cool. That was a good
So,
little backup plan.
well, it was really nice of him to give me some minis. Like, I appreciate it. So now my kind of plan is like, I'm gonna paint up some of them and send them back to him as long as I've got them here. He really didn't, he wasn't really needing them, I suppose, but I thought it would just be nice to return a kind gesture. So he's getting Chuck E. Cheese in his box when I send it back to Canada.
That's cool.
So doing card stuff in the future, like are you planning on doing like deck build walkthroughs and stuff?
Yeah, it's funny. I recorded my first deck profile last night that I completely have to redo. Your brother can talk for way too long, and so I was excited. Did the deck profile, but I was talking about my thoughts for each card and stuff like that, and why it's in the deck. And next thing I know, I woke up this morning and I checked my film. I was like, I didn't do a sound check. Let me check the sound. And I found out I recorded for 40 minutes, and I'm like, that was way too long for a deck profile. Nobody's gonna
Holy
sit through
man.
that. I was like, man, I need to wrap it up. So I got to re-record it.
It's a like doing the streaming thing, and like I haven't even touched video because video is a whole new, like that's a whole different beast. But like recording stuff and editing it down is kind of nuts. Like that, it requires quite the skill, and then like even just preparing thoughts and like video ideas can take a while too.
Yeah, I definitely can agree there. I was going to do an intro video on why Yu-Gi-Oh, as the going to be why it's going to be part of the channel, why it's my favorite card game. And like I know why, and I've named reasons, but when I sat down to try and put my thoughts together in presentation form, I just kept drawing blanks. Like what is like I have bullet points, but I have no idea how. It's just sometimes the getting the thoughts together can be the struggle point.
The hardcore writer's block when you go to like make something that's about your hobby is huge.
Oh, for sure. And it's
Yeah.
like whether it's miniatures or painting, games, cards, whatever. It's like I know this thing so well. Why can't I articulate it right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I think it just happens to be you have the idea, the execution, and like trying to form the structure around it is the like hardest part. Like what are the things that I want to really talk about and like bring out to people? What do I really want them to know about it?
Yeah.
And trying to put that into language that's easily digestible and entertaining. And there are some people that have that stuff down to a science too.
Some people just have it in them to be a presenter. I think some people can just articulate well, but also just naturally have that showmanship.
Yeah.
That pizzazz about what is it I want to talk about. Okay, this is how we're going to word it. This is how we're going to roll.
Right. I hear that. And then like trying to keep a show rolling on the live, that's my struggle. Like trying to keep it rolling and like, not just ramble on about endless topics
You
while you're
never
painting.
you never seem like you struggle with that part though. That's one of the
Oh,
things
I
that
do
always
though.
impresses me. It's just like, man, and I know for sure that like sometimes the anxiety of like, oh my god, am I talking enough? What do I talk about now? Am I out of
Right.
topics? Like, how do I keep the conversation flowing when it's just one person?
Right. Well, I mean, to me, the biggest thing that I rely on when I'm starting to like stumble around with that uh is like the chat and having people that chime in and talk and say hello and um sometimes they'll bring up topics that can span 30 minutes worth of good fun stuff to say and banter on about.
For sure,
um
active chat is a lifesaver. Speaking of
mhm.
which, good evening, Wheeling Dragon and Tunkatad.
Yeah, hello guys, how's it going? um Yeah, I without these guys, I think I would have been toast a long time ago. I'd have been super toast. Um, but yeah, I enjoy the chat part of it too because like I used to back in the day when I first started painting, I used to go down to like the local game shop, and that was the honey hole for the painters, and like um I'd go down there to paint, and you'd get like that sense of community um from the painters there, which was really fun. It's super nice. But then I ended up moving, and the game centers that are here are not. They're farther away, so it makes like quite the ordeal to go out and do it. And I can have a beer at home if I want to, so that's kind
That's
of
fair,
attractive, right?
for
Like
sure.
uh, so being able to uh being able to find some community and paint when it's not just totally solo like drives me to paint quite a bit more
That's fair.
than not.
Yeah, there are definitely plenty of times where I'm like, man, I'm not really feeling like painting. I'm not going to get much done. But then people start pouring in and chatting, and next thing I know, I've gotten way more done than I thought I was going to that night.
Right, I hear you. I'm trying to get the camera to focus. Painting in camera, man, the bane of my existence.
That's so fair.
um
I still haven't mastered that.
I don't think anybody really does on a live show unless if they're really really set up for it.
I was about to say,
If
you know what? Maybe that is one of the tips you can ask your mentor about. He's really good at it.
right, I'm not gonna lie, Mythos. If you got the time and a little bank to spend, Kenny's a really awesome paint mentor.
Oh, I bet.
Is
He's definitely one of the people I look up to most in the hobby for sure.
I think I mean I knew some of these tricks already, but I think it was just how to do it more efficiently, and some of the reasoning behind it and like where to put these tips and tricks really helped. That was pretty big for me um, when working with him. But I mean, like 90% of this stuff, like you can just get freely from anywhere. You know,
Yeah,
Anybody can. A lot of people can teach you. Uh, how to paint and how to thin your paint or whatnot. But where to put things like glazing and edge highlighting on a model and like how to do it so you're not spending 50 minutes doing it. That was pretty big, at least for me. Like, and realizing too, not every model is a centerpiece.
fair.
Like, I don't know about you, but like, man, I there's some nights where I can put like 9 hours into a model, and it'll look really great, but it also it took me 9 hours to like get it to the point where I was happy with it, and I'll still have another 9 hours to go.
Yeah, I'm not sure when, but at some point that kind of like slowly phased in for me over the years. Like, okay, does this 30-second tactical Marine, regular troop guy, does he really need to be the same standard as, say, I paint the captains or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear that. So I did play a little Magic the Gathering back in the day, man. And I gotta ask, what's your like favorite deck colors?
Okay, so I'm kind of torn on that because throughout the majority of my gaming, Magic the Gathering time, I would say green. I like being able to mono ramp and pull out big monsters. I like the easy access to trample and things that challenge an opponent's monster, like pit fight or lure, that is just gonna pit our monsters against each other. Especially if you got something with trample and rampage, and then you put a lure on it. It stacks and stacks. It's just pretty cool. For that reason, I've always liked. I call them, dragons in quotation, because there's always been, my favorites have always been things like worms, like WURMS,
Yeah. Worms are
hydras, yeah, worms and hydras, and things like that. All of the land dragons that green does always just really appeal to me.
nice. I really liked playing like really quirky combo decks. Like green, white, red, kind of like tricolor stuff. And then figuring out like really wacky combos that somehow worked out really well together. Like that was my jam back in the day. And I had like a traveling salesman's suitcase, and I think it was for like perfume or something, but it fit a sleeve, like a penny sleeve 60 card deck. Um Basically perfectly in each one of the 12 slots in this suitcase. It had a lock
Nice.
on it and everything.
Oh,
It
that's
was
cool.
perfect. Um, I ended up selling it eventually, but that was super cool. If you're ever looking for something that you can bring a ton of decks someplace or like an entire collection somewhere, I would highly recommend taking a look and seeing if you can find like a used traveling salesman's briefcase or something.
That's cool. What I'm using right now, actually, I hope you don't mind if I ditch for a second, but I want to show
Oh
you
yeah,
because
sure thing, man. Take
people talk about AliExpress, Wish, and Temu, and I found some really cool hobby stuff on Temu, and I'm going to be doing a little hobby haul on it. But I want to show you what I've been using.
Ooh, all right. Well, Mythos is doing that. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm sorry I haven't been chiming in with the chat, but I did see you guys come on in. Thanks for being here. How's it going, Orc Child? Good to see you. Um, I appreciate you being here, Wheeling Dragon. It's good to see you. I'm still excited as always to bring your dice tray out that you sent the channel a while back when I go game. It's super fun. um yeah.
Tonka Todd says, "I wish I was outgoing enough to be a presenter, but I'm just too shy." I feel that. I I am a little shy now. I'm not as shy as I used to be, though. It's funny, the way I taught myself charisma is I needed money, and I got a job where I was a waiter, and it forced me to talk to people, and literally how well I talked to people made or break how much money I'd make that night. And so that was kind of my intro to, learning to,
Charisma.
yeah,
Nice.
kind of like your traveling salesman box for under $20 at Temu. Check this out. Nice
Ooh.
hard case, right? Which, so you're not worried about your cards getting smushed. It's a hard plastic case. And like I said, for just under $20, it comes with individual hard plastic deck boxes on the inside too. And this isn't like the $3 Ultra Pro where you squeeze them and you're worried about your cards bending. Like these are solid. You can bend them, squeeze them. Like they don't go nowhere. So
Nice.
really
Dude,
pleased.
those are super awesome. And then you got them all labeled up too.
Yeah.
Attaboy, meet those.
I got a Amazon label maker just for that because I hyperfixate. But like even the label maker I got, this was an Amazon thing, so this isn't from Temu. But like even the label maker I got lets you put little pictures on there. So I made little vectors for all the monsters. Like my Red Eyes deck has a little Red Eyes Black Dragon picture on there.
Oh, sweet. Nice. Dude, that's super cool. I dig it.
Thank you. So green was always my Magic the Gathering deck in the past, but lately I have been, over the past couple years, I've really been digging an archetype called Izzets, which is half red, half blue.
Ooh.
And so I focus on things that give me effects whenever I cast an instant or spell. It could be draw a card. It could be deal. Most of them are like deal damage to your opponent. So like Gutter Snipe deals 2 damage to every opponent on the table every time you cast an instant or sorcery, and then you just spam a bunch of instants and sorceries. And most of them I make like 1 or 2 cost, like tap it, draw a card, tap an opponent's creature, deal 2 damage. They're just small things. But then
they add up.
They add up because they're all being And then if I get out copies of these creatures, like 2 Gutter Snipes, then every spell does 4 damage to all opponents. I've got a static shield wall that does the same thing. You cast a spell, it deals damage to your opponents. And so like it just feels very combo-y, which is pretty cool. And then there's a couple creatures like Arclight Phoenix in there. And then another blue-red dragon, I can't remember. So like the Arclight Phoenix lets you revive it from the graveyard every time you cast 3 spells in the same turn. So you could and it's got haste. It's got haste and flying. So you spam a bunch of spells, dealing a bunch of damage, and then you get to haste throw these phoenixes at your opponent. And even if they kill it, it comes right back because you keep casting spells.
Nice. That kind of reminds me of like a tactic used in like mill decks,
Oh yeah.
If I remember that term right. I absolutely did not like mill decks. They were not my favorite to run up against.
I had a tournament back when I was in high school, tournament deck that was called a Megrim deck, where you dealt damage to all opponents by making them discard.
Oh.
And so I would do things like put out a Megrim or 2 if I could. And then you play the red card. It was like a really old rare card called Wheel of Fortune that makes everybody discard their whole hand and draw a whole new hand.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's dirty.
And then I had a card called Fork that lets you copy a spell. So I would play Wheel of Fortune, everybody discard, redraw, and then I'd fork to copy my Wheel of Fortune card, and everybody discard another hand and redraw.
Ooh. Yeah, there you go. I ended up running larger decks just because mill decks became really popular where I was playing. It was like there were a few people that were super hooked on the mill deck thing for like a little while. I would play like in high school. I was like religious. Every lunchtime we would play. Wheeling Dragon's got a mill deck. So at lunchtime we would play for like pink slips, we would call them, and it was essentially like I'd pick like 1 or 2 cards in your deck that I wanted in my collection, and then we'd play the game, and by the end of the lunch period, whoever had the least amount of health essentially won those cards, and you had to give them up. And that was like the stakes got real.
Playing for ante.
Yeah, basically, it was kind of crazy.
Man, I always struggled with playing for ante just because like the control freak in me would hate to just not, like, oh no, I'm losing my stuff,
Right. I'm slowly but surely working my way through this guy's fur. but fur takes forever. I'm I'm learning that as somebody who mostly does like a lot of capes and hard surface stuff. Fur takes forever to look good.
Oh, I bet. Especially like if you're painting every detail instead, most people just dry brush fur, but when you're painting in all the details, like it really changes the game.
It looks really good though.
Oh,
Not
it
gonna lie,
does.
it's getting quite nice, nicer than it was just with the airbrush work. Um, but I found that like a lot more, at least recently, I've been using the airbrush as like a paint template, and then slowly but surely working in painted details over that, and it's almost like paint by numbers. It's actually quite a bit easier to see where you want to put your highlights and stuff ahead of time
Oh
with a
yeah,
little
like
airbrush work
I think
under it.
I think that kind of just like amplifies, the kind of theory with zenithal, like just doing the zenithal for that kind of like shade and highlight effect brings out the details, and I think when you go through and do all the airbrush work, I think that kind of magnifies that effect.
Yeah. Well, just having some paint under it too. That way I don't have to worry like if like a little swath of it isn't painted. Like there's still some paint under there. Having some color rather than no color is always optimal,
Oh yeah.
I guess. Um I don't know if you're like super, are you kind of into like movies, TV kind of stuff? You into that?
No, I wouldn't say super. Like I get into things after they're no longer popular, except for Game of Thrones. For some reason, I've been on Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Me and some friends have started watching this show called Invincible. It's
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen that, but
I,
like we just
I,
got done watching the most recent episode. It was super awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. I've seen just the first season, and I need to go back and see the other two seasons.
Oh yeah, you
Like,
should. It's really good, man.
I'm hyped for it.
Uh, I it's a real fresh take on the Sunday morning cartoon, but like very much so for adults.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And
I mean, even the first episode, you get to be like, man, that's fucked up.
right, yeah, they they state the purpose of that show pretty early. Um, we've watched that. What else? We've kind of been on like a group watch bender, and it's been kind of nice, watching shows that other people have watched and they're like, yeah, this is really, really good. I'll watch it again with you guys. And then we'd do that, and then somebody else would pick out a show and we would watch that for a little while. Um that's been kind of some entertainment I've been partaking in recently and really enjoying it. I think we've watched a decent amount of The Walking Dead as kind of like a friend group. And then Battlestar Galactica, the like 2008
Oh,
remake.
nice.
Watched through that. That was super fun. I don't know if you've seen any of that stuff, but if you're into like Star Wars kind of space survival stuff,
Oh yeah, I've seen bits and pieces. I own the first season of that, so I mean to expand that collection at some point.
there you go.
It's funny. My my weeb self is showing because lately getting back into playing Yu-Gi-Oh has caused me to go back and start rewatching Yu-Gi-Oh,
Oh,
uh,
nice.
which I went kind of in an odd order because my main deck is Cyber Dragons, which first appeared in the second series, Yu-Gi-Oh GX, the second generation. And so I started rewatching that first because I wanted to see my Cyber Dragons. And then after I finished that series, now I'm back on the original Yu-Gi-Oh! And I forget how much they go off the rails as far as rules and stuff in that first series because the card game hadn't fully developed right by the time the first season came out. In fact, it
Mhm.
was in one of their comics, a manga, finally where like in the second season one of the main characters, Kaiba, announces the rules to the new tournament, and in that manga, they kind of published, they soft kind of released the rules for the card game because they put the rules in that manga, that comic, and uh, that was kind of the official launch of the rules for Yu-Gi-Oh! And so that's why the first season of the series is like full of so much BS logic. You're like, that could never happen. That makes no sense. And then like as the series progresses, they kind of go more in line with the card game because like they finally developed some rules to go with that card game. It's pretty interesting.
I've seen some of the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. It's got a bit of an appeal for sure. Um, I I never like super got into the show, but like I did watch some episodes. It's well done for
Nice.
like you're kind of um I don't know, Sunday morning kind of GI Joe style uh anime TV show. Uh, it's really well done. I liked the animation in that quite a bit.
It's funny because for someone who's into it like I am now, when I first saw it, I used to bag on it so hard because I always said, who wants to watch a TV show about people playing cards? That sounds so boring. And
Right.
and so it was like a year before I watched any of it, and then I was hooked. And yeah, so I had to eat crow for all the crap I talked.
Nice.
Wheeling Dragon says, I'm officially back in the shop. Next week should be nice like the last 2 days have been. So
Oh
yay.
yeah. Wheeling Dragon does these epoxy diced trays. They're super awesome, and like you've got like two halves of it. You can put your dice in there and just like carry it around, and it's like a dagger. It's super cool,
That is super cool.
and handmade dice too. Like it's she sent me some legit handmade dice, and I oogle at them every time I open them up. Sent me a little like dragon dice pouch too.
Nice.
But yeah, like check out these I'm just gonna make that real big. But yeah, hand painted, handcrafted dice right here.
That's so
Uh,
crisp.
right. It's super cool. But yeah, I think you can hit up the Wheeling Dragon if anybody out there is interested. I think they're thereabouts online. You can find them and or just go ahead and throw um your link in there, Wheeling Dragon, or just where they can find you. Keegan, what's going on? I hope you're doing well.
Good to see you, Keegan.
So I've been slowly but surely working on the fur of this guy. I think at some point I just gotta like call it quits and move on to something else. I don't know if you ever get stuck during a paint jobs like where you're doing something really repetitive over and over again and you're like, oh man, I'm just gonna go do the armor.
Yeah.
Skip that for a little bit, come back later.
Sometimes that step away is like necessary, mandatory.
Yeah, I suppose. Clear your head quite a bit too. And take
And
another look-see at it.
then sometimes you do that when you step away, and then when you come back to it, you're like, actually, that looks better than I thought. Like, I don't actually need to do a lot more to it. So sometimes you just need that removed perspective.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. I'm just excited for like warmer weather, man. I want to do like an outdoor paint stream. I think that'd be really cool. Uh I've talked about it before, but like, I used to at points in my painting time, I would I would bring like a model with me in like a little case, and then like a really tiny palette and like 3 paints, whatever I was kind of planning on doing with it if I could get to it that day. Just like a little kit, just a brush or 2 or whatever, a little squirt bottle of water. And like I would do painting just out in the world.
That's cool.
Um and I want to do that again cuz a lot of people say like, "Oh, I don't have time to paint. I don't have time to paint." Well, if you're on a commute back home from work and you have a little bit of energy, even like on a bus, you can paint on a bus. It's
True.
possible.
I have a YouTube short that I never got around to editing / publishing, but I was, I stuck at a, you know, 3 hour layover at an airport, and I did a little recording of just my setup for painting at the airport.
Oh man, that'd be super cool to see. Because I know you kind of travel around, don't you?
Yeah, my job has me on the
Yeah.
road sometimes.
Yeah, and I know you've like talked about doing your custodies in a hotel room and stuff. I'd be super curious to see what that looks like. What your setup is. You know what I mean? Like that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think I still got that footage somewhere. So if I don't, no problem. I'm sure on the next trip I can just re-record. But yeah, it's definitely something I think I'd like to share. In fact, you know, I it's kind of neat. I've got like a little foldable white light lamp that I take on the road with me because for some reason, like hotel rooms seem well lit until you sit down to paint and you're like, man, I can't see none of the
Oh,
details.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That and like studio lighting for me. That's the bane of my existence. I have um like above me, I have some. Let's see if I can move this around real quick. So the paint studio setup, I've got these like industrial light bars, and it's like these were workstations that a factory was throwing out, and I just literally picked them out of a dumpster.
Oh
Like,
wow.
they were so heavy, but like so I've got that, and there's like shelving racks above it and like other stuff. But I've got these lights and that are down here. But even with those lights, trying to have it pick up on camera, it's like everything's so dark. I don't know how to describe it, but um, trying to get really good lighting in a paint space can be kind of difficult. I've seen some people with those like insane setups where they have like a domed crossed LED that goes over their table so they have zero shadow whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
But that to me seems like a little overkill.
Man, not gonna lie, I saw one of those setups from like Green Stuff World. I'm like, oh man, that looks killer.
Green Stuff World sells that? No way. I had no clue about that. I didn't know they sold lighting setups.
Yeah,
I knew they did like paints and effects and stuff.
yeah. In fact, theirs is like content creator friendly because it's even got like a spot on the bar that you can mount your cell phone. You
No
know,
way.
so it's like streamer friendly.
Huh. What do you know, man? You learn something new every day.
Um, I need a separate building for my shop so I don't have to wait until after winter to work. That's fair.
There you go. Do you have like is it like out in like a garage or something? Because I can totally see that being like an uninsulated garage. I can totally see how that would play into.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Wybird, his hobby space was out in his unfinished shed for forever, for years, and so like half his winter projects, it would be like, well, I'm not going to be able to tackle that till after spring.
Oof, yeah, yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of people here in the Midwest too that like they have like priming parties and just buy up rattle cans, and do um they'll just set aside basically a day to prime up like a ton of models, and then that's what they paint over the winter. And they only do it just during that part of the season, and that's when they do all their priming. For me, I had to get an airbrush though because I was like, I'm not I'm not gonna do try and tackle the entire pile of shame in one sitting.
It's funny. That's one of the reasons I got mine. But then, like most of the time, if I'm priming on the inside, I'll just brush on the primer. I don't like the way my airbrushes feel or respond, even when I give them, pretty thorough cleanings after I put a
Primer
polyurethane.
through it.
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
seems a
yeah,
lot
I
more
hear that.
sluggish after that.
It takes a while to get that stuff out. The biggest thing that I found with airbrush priming has been essentially, if you can throw like basically half a color cup's worth of thinner through that like immediately after you're done priming, that's helped me out quite a bit in the past
Okay.
with the cleaning process. I don't know, maybe hopefully that might help you out a little bit,
Yeah, I'll definitely give
but
that a shot.
I'll throw some of that right through it and then just uh, right into the discharge cup if you've got one of those like little glass ones.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of my method the madness.
Got one of those from Timu too.
Kate, painter's best friend right there. Airbrusher's best friend, I suppose. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm gonna call it on the fur for now. You could just work days and days trying to get a good gradient on that. I don't know. Let's see if I can get a close up here.
Looks great to me, brother.
Yeah, think so. Good enough.
Sure.
Nice. Starting to look like Cheetos. little Cheetos going on. Gotta love Cheeto dust, man. That was always the joke in our little gaming group was getting Cheeto dust on everything. Although we rarely ever eat Cheetos, actually. That was like the good inside joke.
I miss Cheetos.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, let me bring that back. There we go.
I'm like 140 something days keto now.
Oh, there you go. Very nice.
Aside from Christmas
Finding.
Eve, but we're not counting Christmas Eve.
Oh well, you gotta like, come on, man. Like you gotta have a cheat day every now and then,
Yeah.
and get those cravings in, because like if you don't, it's just gonna, yeah, that's gonna be no fun.
Charles, my brother, good to see you.
What's going on, Charles? Howdy, howdy. Um, yeah, I've been uh I've been using some Army Painter quick washes with some like doing this active wash stuff. They are really interesting to work with. I'm not gonna lie. They're thick like a real light molasses.
I expand my terminology. What do you mean by active wash?
Um, so essentially, like usually you would take like for me, I would take like Nuln Oil and just like run it through the whole model and just let it dry, paint over the top of it. But you can actually kind of skip a step if you take like a thicker wash like the Army Painter ones have.
Mhm.
You can like like use a scoop of it essentially to just plop it on the model, do it like you normally would, and then take some water and you can actually brush the wash off of the top parts of your model that you've already airbrushed really pretty, and the the water itself will carry it further into the crevices.
Oh, interesting.
Um, so it's kind of an active process, and yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but the results are really nice. You can end up with some really cool gradients.
One of
It works really well for armor.
the gosh, I can't remember his name, but one of the real big competitive painters that does like crystal brush and stuff like that
Oh yeah.
has been doing something very similar with the contrast paints, and then he'll load up a wet brush or sometimes a brush with the contrast medium, and he'll do that same kind of thing to like while before that has stuff has a chance to dry, he'll
Ooh,
remove from the places he wants highlighted, and he'll use that wet brush for that process.
nice.
So that's kind of cool.
I can dig that. trying to pick out some colors for this guy's armor, and like I want it to look like it's made out of a cheap material. I'm thinking like copper or bronze or something. Just because I have a feeling rat men don't make much money. I should put that on a t-shirt. Yeah. What was it that you were working on tonight, Mythos? You had the BattleTech guys?
Yep.
How are they coming along, man?
They're coming along pretty well. I've taken to some good old Nuln oil down to reduce some of the shininess, pop out some of the details on the metallics, like my little guy's rifle arms.
Let me get you big. Let's see.
So got some Nuln oil drying on this guy right here, and it is really focusing on my pile of shame back there.
Yeah, that looks sick, man.
Thank you. And now I'm doing up this guy's armor. There we go.
I love the colors, that dark kind of blue gray with the blue going on.
Oh yeah,
that's really cool.
The faction called Clan Snow Raven. I really like their colors too.
Oh, there you go. Hey, what's going on, Dungeon Minister? Speak of the man, and he shall appear. Rat men, they're in the rat race. Indeed. Just kind of, I'm working on some techniques for some of the Morgan's Men at Arms and the Shadow Guard, and I'm practicing them kind of on my own time, taking my own pace with it. So it's not quite ready for the live stream scene yet, but I'm deciding to take tonight to indulge in some painting of rat men. Well, a rat man. So that's what we are up to tonight.
Sometimes we all need to indulge in a little ratman once in a while.
I love it. I feel like there's an innuendo there somewhere.
What? No, not from innocent old Mythos.
Oh, there we are. Nope, that's gold again. Am I the only one that feels like paint has legs and it just likes to run around the workshop just willy-nilly every now and then? And I'll find it in strange places. Like, how did that get there?
All the time.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not the only one. I'm super glad.
Since we've been talking about Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff over on my channel, our friend Charles in the chat there started showing off some of his old decks, and it's been cool to see. After chatting a discussion, on the live stream, and just people pulling out decks that they haven't seen in years. And kind of like, going on the nostalgia train with me. So that's really cool to see. And Charles here says, Mythos got 20 decks now. Time for some Yu-Gi March Madness, maybe April.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, man. I'm just like kind of at a little bit of a loss. I'm missing all my colors.
It's like, I know I had this paint somewhere.
Honestly, like, so I got the Monument Hobbies Evo bag, this big thing, and it works really well when I'm like gonna go on a trip somewhere, like for an extended period of time, and I want to paint, like, so you can have all of your paints on you and like lights and like everything fits in this big old bag.
Nice.
But the problem that I have with it is, like, I think I need to make like labels or some other system besides the foam that's in here, because you can't really tell your colors, like, unless if you have a bunch of paint on the caps. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And even then, because that's where your nozzle is, you don't really want too much paint buildup there.
Right, for sure. Everything does that at my house, says the Dungeon Minister, but it's the boys who do it. And my wife, all of his stuff's got legs. It's running all over the house. Or I guess we can work with copper. We'll do that.
Even worse, sometimes when I think, it's my wife or kids who moved something, and then when I finally find it, I'm like, oh, no, wait, that was me. My
Oh,
bad, guys. My bad.
right, right. Did you borrow this the other day? No, you brought it over there. That's usually what I get. Some spiel like that. Oh, thank you. What's going on, grumpy old Slan? The man with the plan, grumpy old Slan. Um, Slan was helping me out. Was it a couple of weeks ago? Maybe like a month ago at this point. I don't know. Time is so skewed for me, but he was helping me out with printing T-shirts. Had a little experience printing T-shirts. So we were making up some PML T-shirts for gifts for Christmas. Well, that was months ago at this point.
Oh yeah, have you started
But
taking orders on that yet?
no, I haven't, man. I have to get back to the store. Like, I there's
Are-
gonna be some news coming out for all the affiliates real soon.
okay.
I've been just there's not a ton I want to share publicly quite yet, but I think at some point I'm hoping to have kind of a get together and hash out a couple of things and kind of get some people's opinions on stuff. But yeah, there's gonna be some PML news on the horizon for everyone.
Okay. I remember you did
Nothing bad, just some stuff.
I remember you did the poll a while back on who would be interested in getting a PML shirt, and I was like, I just want to make sure I didn't miss, an announcement or something.
No, I would definitely make sure everybody knew. It's just like shirts are not cheap. Trying to
That
get shirts for well, at least halfway decent shirts at like a decent price. And you're gonna want to buy a decent quantity of them so you can get the best discounts and stuff. It's entertaining. It's fun. um, but yeah, I'll definitely let you know when PML shirts are available.
sweet.
I think I'm gonna have to do it like Henry Ford style. You can have any color you want as long as it's black.
I went like the multicolored route when I did the first Frosted Fish shirts, and then this time with Wolf Brother Hobbies, I was just like, and they're going to be black.
hmm have I done any more silk screening since then? I have not, to be honest. I'm thinking about I want to create another screen for like my next run of shirts because I want to do like a front and a back so it's mirrored. That way like people can you can show your enthusiasm for PML on both sides. uh I've got some more family members that are really wanting shirts. I don't know what it is, but they all want shirts now. So I probably have to order like about 20 shirts at this point, at least just for personal funsies. And then I know there's plenty of people out there that want some shirts too,
Isn't
but that ends up being like $200 or $300 in shirts.
isn't that a great feeling when your family wants your merch?
Right.
Like when my wife and my kids asked for a Frosted Fish shirt, I felt amazed because it's like I don't know, you let me know what your mileage is like, but for me, I found in most of my stuff, it is often easier to get strangers to watch my show than to get friends or family to watch my show in most cases.
Right. For sure. For sure.
And so I don't know, it felt like extra, I don't know, like an extra honor, when my kids were like, "Dad, can I have a Frosted Fish shirt?"
Right. Right. Oh, yeah. I have family tune in every now and then. And it's really nice. It's super nice. And and they get to meet and chat with the community a little bit and kind of see what's kind of cultivating there and they're super receptive about it. Like they really like that that's a thing, you know. For me, I really enjoy not only sharing my art and the things that I'm passionate about with the like world as a whole, and like everybody that tunes in, but also like having a place where there's like a little community of folks, and everybody's really welcoming, and it's the same thing over on Wolf Brother Hobbies. Like every time I pop in, I've been able to pop in, which I wish I could more, but everybody there is super welcoming, and it's just a really wonderful place to get some community experience if you don't have, if you don't have ready access to that.
Agreed.
Um, Especially, this day and age where there's not too many centers of I mean, there's centers of community, but um, there's less than I think there used to be. I don't see too many uh really thriving community centers out there still, like dedicated community centers for just random stuff. Like the hobby shop is a big one that's
Yeah.
still around.
Oh, for sure. I saw uh a gosh, I can't remember what channel was doing it, but I saw one of the channels I was following was talking about how hobby shops are kind of becoming one of the few remaining what they call third spaces,
Yeah, that's
because like
yeah.
once you get out of school, most of your social time is restricted. You go to work, you go home, and a lot of people like are losing that place to socialize outside of that.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. The internet is one for sure.
Oh yeah.
Um, but the hobby shop, there nothing beats some face to face
Oh,
goodness.
oh, for sure. But like you said, I think when you have really cool communities on the internet that are really positive and supportive of each other, like the Paint Minis Live community, or as I've been blessed, the Wolf Brother Hobbies community. That really, I think having that as part of your life is definitely, I think, a real boon to being able to get that hobby positivity.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, Dungeon Minister. I am being told this is a null. At least Mythos is mentioned that it's a null. I just called it a rat man. That's like that was what I was calling it. I suppose it's a null. But it's from the box of like super awesome models that you gave me up in Canada. So you who knows what might creep up into the next package sent up that way. But I'm calling this model Charles Edward Cheddar, the very scary rat man. He also makes a banging pizza.
I can't put cheddar on a pizza.
How's your I know you've been playing some like role playing stuff recently with your you've had a character going in a game with was it Gamers with Coffee?
Yes. Okay. So that has been, the biggest enemy of any role playing game in general is the schedule. It just
Right.
trying to sync up schedules with everyone has just been kind of really rough. Starting in December, of course, everybody's schedules get wonky in December with the holidays, and then just
Mhm.
since January, we've just had trouble syncing up, and there've been just a couple of just like um, uh, times where it's like it almost worked out, and then like scheduling conflict last second, and unfortunate, but that it happens.
Right. Right. I hear you there. Um I think every good role playing game, every good role playing group, to me, if they're the times when you can meet, um, everybody makes it like literally the best time. The when you're sitting around the table.
Oh yeah, I haven't done an in-person campaign in a long time, and it's funny because I never got a chance. We always did theater of the mind before, and now that I'm into miniatures and stuff like that, I have a couple of miniatures I've painted up for campaigns that never got going. But I would love the opportunity to be part of an in-person around the table campaign now, where I could be around the table hanging with everybody, but also have that cool physical representation that I painted up for myself on the table.
Yeah. I had it was Sapphire. Some of the folks in the chat know Sapphire. But Sapphire's daughter commissioned me to paint up her character that she uses in a game in Lake Geneva, at a gaming center in Lake Geneva, where I guess that's where D&D got its kind of start. So I was like super happy about that, and she loved it. I got a little video of her getting some, having a little reaction to it. To me, that's the best part of doing like gift projects, is the reactions.
Yes.
Love that. I savor that like no tomorrow. How did some of your projects go? For your I know you were working on one for a friend, right? Are you still plugging away on that?
That's
Or did that wrap up already?
the Salamanders project for a friend went really well. They said they absolutely loved everything that I handed over. It's funny because I went to group Thanksgiving and forgot the miniatures, so he had to come back by the house a couple days later because I was like, "Oh my gosh, your birthday! Your birthday gift. I left it." And so he just swung by the house a few days later, but he was excited. And I remember I was talking a bunch of noise with you before, like, yeah, I don't think he watches my show anyways. and he's like, yeah, I really appreciate this. And he kind of like made a like a kind of a knowing kind of face. I was like, you knew about this, didn't you? He's like, I totally do. I watched your show. I was like, oh, my bad.
Got a little called out on it.
He said he was actually at work watching the show one night, and I started talking about, yeah, I've got this gift coming up for my brother Kane, and he's he's one of the managers at his job, and so somebody came over to his desk and was like, hey, I need help with the shh, quiet, I just heard my name.
Nice.
Whoops. I said that with my whole chest. He doesn't watch my show.
Right.
And this BattleTech project I'm working on here is for a different one of my brothers.
Oh, nice, man.
So it's actually he went in on one of the Kickstarters and bought my army, what I call the Synthwave Sons. Here.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, let me get you big. Let's see. Whoa, dude. Those are cool.
Yeah, I think that's called the Federated Sons, but I call them my Synthwave Sons. And
looking good.
Thank you, brother. And now that I've painted my half, I'm working on his. And then after that, we've got like NPC mercenaries and stuff I'll be painting. So, hopefully everybody's okay, Dungeon Minister.
Yeah. Yeah, that's no good.
Welcome to the chat. Hell Works by Hellchild.
Ayo.
We got a minister and a Hellworks with their sandwiches, their comments sandwiched.
Nice. There's foreshadowing for the tabletop. Either that or the makings of a good walks into a bar joke. Somewhere in there.
Yes. Maybe. So the pack grows, Mythos. Paint Minis Live here is not only one of my amazing friends, they are also my sponsor and the leader of the Paint Minis Live affiliates, as he runs, of course, the Paint Minis Live site. So,
thanks for the plug, man.
He's really the pack master. I know it's a plug on your own channel, but Hellworks asked.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, I the whole affiliate thing. I just I really wanted people like to have a little bit of access to just a good way for the people that watch them to support them. if they so choose. And me, I personally like getting my hands on some gamer goodies, so I thought it was kind of a cool way to connect those two up because I um I like watching your stuff over on Wolf Brother Hobbies, and when I've been able to tune in, like once you start creating stuff, all your time goes like it's like a time sink. It just
That's right.
gets wiped off the board. But I every time I tune in there, I'm like, man, I want Mythos to keep doing this because you're super passionate about it. These are all the things that make up Mythos, and you're sharing it with the world. And that's super cool.
Thank you so much, my brother.
Yeah. No problem. I've been really working away too, like trying to find a little bit more work-life balance, but isn't it kind of funny how you start thinking, oh man, yeah, I can finally get back to a regular schedule, and then all of a sudden, wham, life hits. See you in 2 weeks, buddy.
In
That's
the
been my
words of Malcolm and his chaos theory, life finds a way.
right. Do you run into that? I don't know. I don't know if I don't think I'm the only one, but like I don't. Does that resonate with you at all?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
sure. That's why there's very seldom content out. Like I meant to, after I did, the relaunch of the channel, I've been meaning for the past 2 weeks to put out videos, but then I lost my voice for like a week and a half. And so it's been, like this. I don't normally get sick, but typically like once I get sick, it's usually like a heavy hit. And man,
Mm,
losing my voice for like a week and a half was just like, man, if I would take this time to work on videos, but I can't talk.
right. Right. Gotta love it.
But yeah, it's always something there. Especially you've got the double duty of like being a content creator, but then you've got all the behind the scenes stuff you do for the hobby with the shop and whatnot. And so,
Honestly, the shop isn't like building the shop was crazy. Holy man. That was basically an 8-month sprint from nothing to like a totally registered and, sending tax documents business. And then like completed web shop with all that. And it's still just kind of the first iteration of what I really want it to be. Um, I think in the future it'll be something even better.
nice.
Um, but yeah, yeah.
Work says dumb airplanes, which is probably where I caught that cold from. Anytime I get on a plane and share a bunch of recycled air with a bunch of other people, I always come back with a little bit of, some if not a full blown cold, some gunk
Oh,
in the
travel,
chest.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to New York for the first time, 4 years ago. And while I was there, I caught Legionnaire's disease.
What?
Yeah, from the AC units. It's like some kind of bacteria or something that grows in
Holy
there.
crap.
I was sick. Oh, it was almost as bad as COVID.
You know,
It
I
was it was bad, and it was for weeks, man. 2 weeks I was out of work. Like it was, yeah. I basically used up an entire year's worth of PTO all at once just because I was so sick and just constant nausea, like, and unable to eat. Like travel is tough, man. Oh,
man, seriously, like that same thing, Legionnaire's disease from a an AC vent was a thing covered on Mr. Ballin's Medical Mysteries, and
Mr. Ballin.
I got to see him live in November. That was so cool. Uh,
Nice.
but yeah, it was one of the things he talked about, and like at like a retired Air Force veterans convention, almost took out like a bunch of surviving veterans from like World War II or something like that. It was really,
No way.
yeah, just like a whole bunch of like, a nasty AC event like this Legionnaires sickness went through and just like hit a bunch of the retirees. It was just like ready to take them out.
Oof. um, Grumpy Old Sen is asking, how's the shop doing? The shop is doing. We get hits from all over the world. So far, I think in its lifetime, we're probably getting close to maybe 3,000 hits. People that have viewed it. I think I've got a little bit of work to do there. I've been trying to do some like custom stuff on the site. A lot of it on there says back order, but it's not really back order. It's stuff that I can get like a hold for you, and then like I can ship it to you really quickly. It's just I don't have it on hand. Like I've got the paints on hand, so like those they ship out like next day. But the other stuff is like a little bit of a wait, and there's no way to really communicate that other than saying either yeah I have it in stock, and if I make an oopsies and the supplier doesn't have stock on hand um in that time and they have it on back order but I have it in stock, it makes like for a very awkward situation that I don't really want to have. So I've been trying to figure out how to make that work where I could say like it's orderable for the moment or whatever. So I'm trying to figure that one out a little bit, but um so far we've had one sale at the shop, and that's been good. At least everything's working. It worked as intended, and yeah, so I'm happy about that. I'm just happy that I managed to plant the seed early, so to speak, and I've got all that behind me. So I think in the future, uh, I think in the future we'll be rolling really pretty. Though I've got some big plans for 25, later 25, anyways.
It's funny because I have marked down on a to-do list on a sticky note on my windows here to talk to you about whether or not I can still present myself as an affiliate under the new Wolf Brother Hobbies. And they were like, "Hey man, you want to do a show this Friday?" I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, man, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, you sure can.
Sweet.
That is totally a okay. Um, yeah, it rebrands and stuff like that. It's totally fine to um, it tracks you as like an individual, or if I guess if you were running under an organization, it'd still be kind of the same story though. The organization would still have the access and the ability to do to do the affiliate stuff. No problem.
Cool. I will
Um,
return to preaching your name on stream, sir.
you can do as little or as much as you'd like. That's the beauty of it. So it's 100% up to you. Um, I'm just happy to provide that little bit of what I can. Because there are there's seriously awesome creators out there who are showing and presenting the hobby to new fresh folks that really might need it. Going kind of back to that third space conversation a little bit earlier, that's um, kind of why I started doing PML, is because I wanted some of that third space in my life, and some community to be around. And some folks really need that, and sometimes they need it, in their life, like now, for various reasons, and being able to, go and access this stuff really quickly and find groups of people that are super welcoming and something to kind of gather around that's not based on uh, politics or religion and so on and so forth is really comforting for a lot of people.
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of people, like myself, at this turbulent time, want to stick their head in the sand and just not hear, whether regardless of what side of whatever they just want to a space where they don't have to deal with that stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of constantly screamed at you these days. That's
I
that can be
myself
tough.
I myself have had it a couple of times, and um, a couple of my community spaces, be like, hey guys, that's as much as I appreciate your passion on the subject, let's keep this a hobby space because
Right.
you're right. We do hear it everywhere nowadays. Man, sometimes you just want to paint, right?
Right. Right. Hey, well, take care there, Dungeon Minister. Good to see you. Yeah, thanks for the point there, Grumpy Old Slan. Again, trying to get into the nuts and bolts of the website. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing when I first made this thing. And I'm starting to eat my mistakes when it comes to some of the website stuff.
Have a good night, Dungeon Minister. Apparently, Dungeon Minister had heard the same thing about the Legionnaire's disease. He said that was the first documented case of Legionnaire's disease, and that water pooled in the AC unit and it was spread through the building as vapor.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody who was in that hotel room in specific, because they had individual units, everybody that was in that hotel room got sick with it. We were
Oof.
all out for about 2 weeks. It was really bad. Talking about World War II, and because you were talking about how they got sick with Legionnaire's disease, these World War II vets.
Mhm.
I had a chance to go to a dinner and meet Joe Gomer, one of the last surviving Tuskegee Airmen. He was a African American aviator during World War II, which was that was really rare at the time. But I talk about a kind gentleman, and just love to share his experiences, the good and the bad, about his time in aviation. And I was just a wee little squirt at the time, and I asked him about some of Germany's first jets, and if he ever encountered some of Germany's first jet fighters. And I, what I didn't realize was he was actually stationed in, I believe, the Pacific. So he never got that chance. But it always made me wonder if him and my grandfather, who was actually stationed in Okinawa, he was an air traffic controller there, if they ever cross paths.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I never had a chance to ask either of them. I'm trying really hard to talk and do edge highlighting.
Oh, edge highlighting is
It's
something
so
I
fun.
usually don't do on stream because it takes so much concentration for me. So you are a bold man, sir.
Oh, what's going on? D&Disability is in the house. Ricky Maru, over there. D&Disability. How you doing? Good to see you, sir. Hope you're doing well.
Good evening, D&Disability.
Man, all the affiliates are coming in tonight too. Gotta love it. Had two great grandfathers that were both on Normandy. Wow. That's huge. I'd be interested to hear some of that. So if they had any stories that you'd be willing to share at some point. I love me a little some good history stories. I don't know. I'm a sucker for that. Growing up, I was always watching like the military channel and stuff.
That's really impressive.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised I haven't done any like modern wargaming paint-ups yet. Although I know some of the, I would probably butcher some of it too, to be honest. Like I'm not really good at following a set paint scheme very well. It's always for me anyways, it's always kind of by the seat of my pants. Just develop it as you go.
Same. I did some modern military stuff with I think the game was called Spectre
Ooh.
miniatures a couple years back. And those were pretty fun. They were metal, but they were fun miniatures to do. Do a Gundam PML.
Hellchild. It's oh man. Yeah, I want to do I would love to do a Gundam. I think I'm going to wait for their tabletop game to release. I know Mythos, you've been kind of talking about that too at
Oh
the
yes.
I've kind of been waiting on that because I know if I start buying like Gundam kits, that pile of shame is going to get like twice as big.
Oh yeah.
It's just going to get huge.
I definitely have a few that I've collected because I've been saying for a while now I want to do a Gundam, and so now I've got a couple of kits in my backlog here, waiting for that day. The
I've seen some of those, man. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to watch them paint those. They're gonna be so cool.
what's really cool is alongside the card game, the different starter decks got a one miniature with the starter decks, and it's just kind of at the moment it's just kind of a representation to go with your deck, and it's unpainted, but it definitely feels like they are. It's an Easter egg, to build hype for their miniature game.
Ooh,
So
okay.
that's got me kind of excited. My brother was trying to get us in on the pre-orders for the Gundam game, but man, within minutes, scalpers had taken over the website and bought them all out, and so man,
I think
scalpers ruined everything.
they do. They really do. I've grown to really not like them. Like I understand that everybody wants, everybody would like a little bit of extra, walking around money. Don't get me wrong. Like I can 100% appreciate a hustle, but um, that is not one I respect.
Agreed.
I really don't like that. Trying to just artificially inflate something like that is that stinks. That just stinks.
Ricky says, "Curse you, scalpers!" Yes.
And I've seen that too, and it's with the weirdest things, man. The weirdest things. Games Workshop has a problem all the time with their like special book releases, like hardcover books that are, the really cool bound books. People come in and buy like 500, 600 of those and for one region and then scalp them on the market. And it boggles my mind. It just kind of boggles my mind like a little bit, just a little bit.
Games Workshop, Magic the Gathering. Yes, I've been a lifelong Final Fantasy fan since I was a kid, and they're doing a Magic the Gathering crossover with Final Fantasy, and the cards don't even come out till this summer. But they went I think 2 weeks ago they went up for pre-order, and again they were out in minutes because of scalpers. And it's just like, oh, but I love Magic. I love Final Fantasy. This would have been a great collaboration, but I'm not willing to pay 2.5 to 3 times the price for it.
Right. It's just unhealthy for communities, no matter what it is, comic books, you name it. Just it's not healthy, or in my opinion, yeah, it's sure it may be conductive for business, but like it's only in the short term. Like it's very short term minded if you're like kind of hoping that scalpers start taking on your product. That to me seems a little nearsighted business wise.
Yeah. Oh, academic books. I could see where that would get scalped too.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, like college textbooks and stuff. No, ick.
Yeah, that is definitely some ick. Magic the Gathering has gotten toxic with prices these days. That's why my friends and I play kitchen table Magic, and we allow each other to use whatever sets from whatever time periods.
isn't there like an actual term for that? Is there like open something? Boy, I'm losing it here with my magic terminology. It's been a long time. But like I thought there wasn't there a name for that? Cuz I know there's name for different types of play, like popper decks are like little small creatures, and then you got like you've got draft play, right, where you just pick it out of a pack and what you get's what you get kind of stuff. Is there a name for that?
Let's
Just
see.
kitchen table, anything goes.
Popular sets. Uh, let's see. What is Pioneer? Non-rotating format set. It's from okay. Return to Ravnica Forwards. Okay, so not that one. Standard 60.
Mm-mm.
Rotation sets. Nope. Man, there are so many Magic formats.
Right?
I'm looking at their website 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 different formats to play in.
Whew.
Timeless sounds
Dang.
like what I'm looking for. 60 card deck. Timeless, large constructed format where every card is legal, even the most powerful cards throughout Magic history.
Nice.
Interesting.
What was it called?
Timeless.
Timeless. Well, that sounds pretty on point with what you're doing. It is timeless.
Yep.
Nice.
Sounds classy too.
Mm-hmm. Like white glove magic. It's timeless.
Ricky plays Commander. That's awesome.
Yeah, Commander. That was fun.
I could never wrap my head around Commander. The idea of playing 100 cards and no two of them are the same. That just seems like what? How do I build like how do you strategize around 100 unique cards?
They take a couple hours to like figure out a good deck, and then like a lot of playtesting. It's usually a lot of laughs, which is why I liked it. It was like, oh man, yeah, that kind of screwed me over.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was happy I didn't have to buy any more of those until my kids went to uni. Charles says, a year and a
Nice.
half ago, I was adamant, no 15, 10, or 12 millimeters, just 28 millimeters only. Now I've got at least a couple of 115 millimeters done. I got 120 on my table waiting to be started. And I just got 100, and I've got 175 more coming in. Oh, wow.
Whoa. Very cool. That's a collection and a half. Whew. Just 20. Yeah. There you go.
So many minis.
Well, good luck on that one. I think that's a big collection. 175 plus minis. That's a lot.
He also says,
Very
on my
nice.
back table, my goblins and barbarians are having their first action against dragon, using dragon rampart rules at the time. Nice.
Ooh.
Grumpy old
Sounds
sounds what?
well, it sounds quite interesting for sure.
Grumpy Old Slant says, I thought paying $120 for a book in 1990 was a ripoff. I hadn't seen anything yet. Talking about Commander, think of it just this way. You have 27 cards that all do a similar thing. They're just a little different. Okay.
Well, I think I'm gonna show off a little bit of what I got done. I actually, why don't you show us what the product that you've got so far. I think we're gonna wrap up soon. Maybe do like a little 5-10 minute Q&A after we show off what we've done tonight, and maybe wrap it up. What do you think, Mythos?
That sounds good.
All
I've
right.
gotten these two to this point. This one just got some washes, and this one went from just being uh, black with highlights to I did the metallics tonight. I did the helmet, and I added the teal. Both of them need their teal color, or yeah, their jade colors highlighted, and that'll be the next step.
Nice, nice. You're gonna have one ferocious. What was it? Snowhawk?
Snow ravens.
Snow Raven. You're gonna have some super ferocious Snow Ravens, though. They look like the intimidation factor is rising every step of the way, my guy.
Thank you, my brother.
Charles Edward Cheddar over here, Chuck E. Cheese, the horrendous rat monster, has gotten some of his armor done with a little bit of real light gold highlight on there. I didn't want anything super crazy. His fur is starting to pop out a little bit. We're kind of making our way up to our final highlights on his fur. And that's kind of where I left it. I also did the rivets on his shield, same kind of color as his armor. So yeah, we're getting there. This guy's starting to really take shape.
One of the things I find really impressive is that you've got something going on here that most hobbyists would avoid for clarity. You know, you've got wood, you've got leather, you've got the fur, and even the bronze. You know, a lot of different cascading shades of like browns and orangey browns. You know,
Oh yeah, like
and
monochromatic.
but
Yeah.
but you've managed, especially like between your detail work and your airbrush work, you're managing to make it not look all samey. You know, you're managing to like each of those things looks different. You know, the more ruddy tones of the fur, you know, the more textured, bright, you've got the bright spots on the wood that make it pop out. So like, even though they're all cascading shades of like in the brown kind of tones, you've done a good job of making them look different functionally.
Hey, thanks, Mythos. I appreciate that. If I need constructive criticism, I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going. Thanks, man. I appreciate the compliment. Yeah, so I guess we'll wrap up with a quick 5-10 minute Q&A. If you happen to have any questions for Mythos or myself, go ahead and throw them in the chat. Ask us anything. Well, ask me anything, Mythos. So up to you what you want to talk about. But yeah, go ahead if you got any questions for us. And by the way, Mythos, thanks for being here, man. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and to be honest, the last couple of times I've had guests on, I've had some audio issues, and I'm happy that I've managed to fix that, because I've really wanted to have you over for like a really long time.
I appreciate you having me on, my man. It's been really fun to sit and shoot the breeze with you and get some painting done.
Heck yeah, man. And if you ever are feeling like you want a little company in your end of the studio, yeah, feel free to. I'm always here to help out if I can. Just shoot me a message.
Thank you, my brother. We'll definitely have to do that sometime.
Yeah. Well, I'm not seeing. I think we'll maybe give another minute or two to see if any other questions come in. Oh wait, we got one from Hellchild. What's your favorite deck there, Mythos?
Magic Gathering. I play 2 right now. One is a green land dragon deck with worms and hydras, and one is red and blue 2-color deck with. It's called the archetype is called Izzets, and it's a lot of spells and instants that when I combine them with other cards, proc other combo effects, like doing damage to all opponents at the same time, or spawning an Arclight Phoenix, or I've got special dragons that get +2/+2 every time I play an instant or sorcery, and they just get bigger and bigger the more I play spells. And so, yeah, it's a lot of comboing going on in that one, which I really enjoy.
Nice.
What did you play back in the day?
Oh man, I have to admit one of my favorites was like a colorless deck, and I used like a lot of artifacts. And it was really fun. I think like the big combo with the artifact deck was doing things like giving creatures protection, or like having the ability to block damage that would come in just using like the artifacts themselves. I really like that. I don't know. It was just kind of a quirky thing. It was something that presented not only a challenge that you're facing an opponent that's got like a main drive and trying to beat you, but also that you're not running down any specific color path. It's just totally uh it could be any color. So that was fun.
I had a best friend in high school named Rob, and he had an artifact deck, and his signature card, he had four of them in the deck, was a zero cost ornithopter, which was like 0/1 flying, right?
Yeah.
And but by the time he was done with all of his artifacts, by the end of the game, it would be like a flying 30/30 creature that would just fly over all your uh and it would have like first strike, so no matter how many monsters you blocked with, usually they'd all die. It was pretty crazy.
Nice. Well, thanks for the compliment, Charles. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Charles.
Um, favorite 40K faction or army? My absolute favorite is Chaos. I'm a lover of all things Chaos. And that's probably denoted with some of these really cool paint ups that I've done in the past. The one on the left's a bit older. The one on the right is more recent, but I love the grim aesthetic of it and all of the spiky bits. It's super fun. So I'm chaos all the way. Uh, and inside of chaos, I could be anywhere. I could, it doesn't matter. Black Legion, Alpha Legion, you name it. I'm just chaos everywhere. Someone contact the Inquisition. Yeah. Well, man, I would love to have a chance to square off mano y mano and do a 40K game with against the wolves of Wolf Brother Hobbies at some point.
That would be awesome.
Might be a couple years in the making to get there, but I'm putting it on my bucket list.
Yeah, one day we will meet up somewhere and throw down a game.
Right. All right. Well, I think that's about the time that I've got for tonight. Again, thank you so much, Mythos. You're always such a wonderful, bubbly personality to talk to, and just to hear about what your your new endeavors on Wolf Brother Hobbies is super exciting. And I can't wait to see where you take your channel and watch it, just keep growing and growing. It's super cool. So if you guys out there haven't seen Mythos, go and check him out. Give him a little love, and because he's got really good stuff to talk about, and just again, a wonderful personality to listen to. So thanks again, Mythos, for being here.
Thank you so much, my brother. The pleasure's been all mine.
All right, man. Well, you have a good rest of your night. And everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to D&Disability, Grumpy Old Slan, Hellchild, Dungeon Minister, Tonkatod. If I missed you, you know who you are, but thank you so much. Wheeling Dragon, so on and so forth. We'll talk to you again in the next one. I'm Bill T here with Paint Minis Live. Have a great rest of your night. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.